At 13 miles, Broad Street is Philadelphia's longest straightaway. It runs north to south, right through the heart of the city. And it just so happens to wind up down by Lincoln Financial Field. It may only be 100 feet wide, but we'll find a way to make room for everyone.
Let's go. Who doesn't love that? You just recapture all the moments and everything else. But Bradley Cooper there. Super Bowl champs.
How about that? I mean, come on. It almost feels like it didn't happen, and yet it did just a couple days ago. We were celebrating on Sunday night. We got the parade coming up on Friday afternoon, and Philadelphia Eagles did it, which is still crazy. I think after the game, we streamed for another 2 hours, and I remember just kind of sitting there, just being stunned, trying to take it all in. Like, they actually won the Super Bowl. It wasn't close. They dominated the Chiefs. Mahomes' worst game maybe of his entire career. It all was true. It all did happen, and I'm pumped to be here tonight to talk about that and obviously the future, because once you win, as A.J. Brown noted on his Instagram today, start looking for the next one, right? How do you go win the 2025 Super Bowl? That's going to be one of the main goals.
That you do, yes. And I'm glad that you brought that up because I was curious. Let me actually, hang on one second. I'm going to get I lost you there, and now you're here. Okay, all right.
There we go.
We're back. But I was going to bring that up, and since you went ahead and mentioned it with A.J. Brown, I'm sure a lot of people have. If you have not,
sure they
his
have.
Instagram post is gotten several different takes. I'm always amazed and floored by just, I mean, I guess we call it hate. It didn't seem like there's a ton, but there is some, and it's like,
yeah,
like, what do you want from the dude? You know, like, everybody celebrates in a certain way, in a different way, right? Like, everything means something. It's not like he wasn't excited and happy. You all saw it in the post-game reaction.
Sure.
You know, I'm not going to read it verbatim there, but you can check it out as we're talking about it. Basically, he's saying to the effect of, look, I celebrated. I was happy, excited, but it's kind of like 2 days, all right? Like, move on. The next phase. It makes the hunger and the excitement and the desire and the fire, the passion, whatever you want to call it, to win the next one that much more. So, you know, I think even as he said, like with Tom Brady, he went on for a couple different ones, but even tweets and saying, like, you know, Tom Brady's favorite Super Bowl ring was always the next one. That's the heart of a champion. Like, that's just the drive there. So I love it. I appreciate it. You got a little bit of hate. I don't know.
I think we don't realize what it's like to win a Super Bowl and then be absolutely hounded by every human being on planet Earth for the next day, week,
Seriously.
3 days, 4 days. I mean, poor Jalen Hurts. I mean, the guy literally won a Super Bowl, has to go through all the different media stuff that night, then has to wake up and do media stuff in the morning, like GMA and all the morning shows. Then he gets on a private jet and flies to Disney World. He has to ride around on roller coasters at Disney World, which on any given day is fun, but he just played in the Super Bowl. Is he sore? Is he exhausted? Is he hungover? All of the above, probably. And then he's got to go to New York City and do more media press. And then he's got to he did Howard Stern. He did the Jimmy Fallon show. The guys are exhausted. I'm sure it gets very exhausting. And you almost kind of wish that you could win the Super Bowl and then just disappear instead of having to go through all the media nonsense. But that probably played a little bit into it. I will say this, though. The A.J. Brown drama is not nearly as big right now, Josh, as the Jason Kelce drama. Tell me you're caught up to date with the Kelce news that's going on right now.
Yeah, I've been monitoring somewhat.
Crazy.
It is crazy. Again, like all the takes of, I know that there's passionate fans, there's supportive fans, there's both sides and all this. I don't know why it's blown up into such a big deal.
Well, Twitter, but
yes, but like it's, you know, look, it's understandable. Even whenever, it took him, I guess it was a full day before he even responded publicly on Twitter to begin with, right? Like for the Super Bowl. But,
sure.
Yeah, I could definitely put myself in his shoes. I think the vast majority of people can, but there's going to be trolls, but then you disregard those. There's going to be critics. There's going to be doubters. There's going to be people that are extra passionate and being like, yeah, but who cares? But I don't know. It seems to be blown out of proportion like a lot of things. It's not surprising. So
yeah, for people wondering, essentially what happened is that obviously Jason Kelce's brother, Travis, played in the Super Bowl, and got waxed, and it was a really rough game for Travis Kelce. He might retire after this game. I mean, he did not look anywhere close to the Travis Kelce you expect in a big game like a playoff game or a Super Bowl. And then Jason was silent after the Philadelphia Eagles won, after he obviously announcing to the world he was going to root for his brother, but also for the team that he played for and retired with and will be a Hall of Famer with here in the future. New Heights put out a tweet on their official account, the podcast of both brothers. They basically celebrated the Eagles win. A bunch of Taylor Swift trolls were pretty nasty in the comments. The New Heights people deleted that post. And a lot of people are kind of taking shots at Jason Kelce for apologizing for not being excited about the Eagles win and more sad about the fact that his brother lost. So it's become its own thing in Philadelphia. A lot of fans are upset because it's like, you're an Eagle first off, right? When it comes to your football loyalty, you're an Eagle. I understand that point, but it is like a family member. It's not like Travis Kelce's his buddy, It's like it's his brother, the person he's closest with besides his wife, and not maybe a little closer, known him longer, obviously. And so it's just a fascinating thing to be going down right now. I'd be very curious to see how Jason Kelce responds to this, because all he's done is put out a tweet and then obviously did the New Heights podcast episode, but didn't really address it that way. Just be interesting to see how he navigates being really the darling of Philadelphia. I mean, ever since he retired, even before. And now he's taken a little bit of a hit, I would say, from some Eagle fans, at least if you're going to believe what Twitter has to say over the past 48 hours.
Yeah, he definitely has. To me, it's not a big deal. I get that it ends up making news, and people gotta have something to talk about. I don't mind it at all. Like, I know that he cares about the Eagles. I absolutely do.
Sure.
But being big family guy, like I know you are as well, yes, I totally, like, if I've got a family member, I'm going to support them. I sure will have loyalties, but it's very difficult. I could only imagine, right? Like, he even kind of he tried to make the similarity or saying like, oh, I can only imagine from my parents now. Like it makes more sense for me of when my mom's at the Super Bowl watching us both play against each other, how conflicted you are. You're happy for one, but you're devastated for the other. And it's a similar thing there. So I don't know. They're something to talk about.
It's what it is.
It's not
something to talk about.
It's not anything major. The Eagles are Super Bowl champs.
That's right.
We got a celebration. On the Kelce note, a more positive spin, though. I am curious to get your take, because we were having the long discussion last night. Anthony DeBone had hopped on. I think Anthony was here briefly for the stream, so shout out to him. Hopefully his voice is slowly getting back. But the comment or the back and forth that we were having was, who do you think is going to have the Jason Kelce moment? Like at the podium, will there be one? If there is to be one, who would you go with for that speech?
I've seen that all over Twitter. Obviously Chris Long announced on his podcast that someone has requested his famous fur coat from 2018, and so there'd be some. There's always going to be some drama, or at least some fun happening at the Eagle Parade. I don't think you ever match Jason Kelce, because A, it was Jason Kelce. B, he was wearing that outfit, the most ridiculous thing we've ever seen in our entire life. And C, it was the first Super Bowl. And I've had a lot of people ask me, like, which is sweeter, this one or the first one? The first one is always sweeter no matter what. And what they actually were able to do in that postseason when they shouldn't have been there, according to most people in the media, due to Nick Foles being the starting quarterback, the Philly special, all of that is why it's more special. This one, though, felt better afterwards because of what they did to Kansas City, the utter domination. And there was not a single doubt left in the entire national media NFL landscape that Philadelphia was leagues better than everybody else. And even though you'll see some people on Twitter saying, oh, yeah, what if they played Detroit? None of that matters. KC was the favorite of this football game, Josh. They have the greatest quarterback of our generation post Tom Brady now, because that greatly affects his legacy. And they killed him. It wasn't even close. It wasn't close from the first, even the beginning. Jalen Hurts even gave them a turnover gift that could have, not happened. And then Philly went up 14, and they still were up 34-0 at one point. So I don't think there's going to be somebody who has a Jason Kelce caliber moment. I'm sure there'll be plenty of great moments from the parade. Can't wait to watch it. But I think the first one is always the most exciting one, especially for an organization like Philadelphia, who had been so close so many times, never could get over the hump, were left for dead in 2017, and they went on to win it.
Yeah, it's there's recency bias. I know that.
There definitely is.
I'm almost would say the second one. Like completely valid points. Like the first, like I can remember. I can visualize just being at the party. Ironically, it was a Patriots friend and mostly Patriots, but I can envision like it was incredibly special. But also, as you think through this team and like the doubters and the Jalen Hurts is not a quarterback and he's not going to get you there, and Saquon, and you got to run with him. It's not going to be possible. Like you said, Mahomes, this unstoppable three-peat, all the other things, and for them to just blow the brakes off, just absolutely destroy them on national television, 40-6. I mean, that was the effective score, 40-6. They got some garbage time points. It's one of those special, because they're almost polar opposites in a way. 2017 was the underdog story. 2024, 2025 was the big dog story. Like, they were, even though they were not favored, right? Because the Chiefs are going to get their credit. They were, and I saw several people or several players tweeting about this afterwards. Zach Berman also was the one, so shout out to him, but great coverage on the team, was saying, like, look, this team, the feel all week before the Super Bowl is, we're not anybody's underdog. Like, we're going to go out there and prove it. And then the fact they did do it in such a fashion, I'm like, man, there's just something special. So I don't know if we necessarily have to rank those, but there's a part of it for that recency bias where I'm like, man, that was just so special. I do want to get to the super chat here. Appreciate those. Also, Clayton, real quickly, was mentioning how crazy would it be if Jalix Hunt is the guy who's wearing the fur coat. That would be pretty legit. I think they need to. I will say this: they need to troll the Chiefs, because I'm not above trolling and some pettiness. They need to do. Clayton had this idea, but I believe it was Clayton. Wear shirts that say 0 blitzes. Because when the Chiefs won, remember, they did the whole 0 sacks comment because the Eagles didn't get
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will.
I feel like they have to.
Why not?
Please do something.
Why not?
You might as well. You only do that once or twice, but Crush with a 2. Thanks for that. Says, bring the man out himself. Gotta love Jason. There we go. Most everyone does. I know there's like a small 2% maybe that is against him for that, but sometimes it gets noise. But absolutely, yes. IBH with a 2. I'm already in withdrawal. Wins the draft.
I am too.
Already?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just want NFL free agency to start, because I feel like Philadelphia is going to have this crazy opportunity. I remember post 2017, the 2018 offseason was, I mean, I was pumped for everything, because you really felt like after 2017, they had the roster to go ahead and repeat. And technically, they were an Alshon Jeffrey drop away from maybe going back at least the NFC Championship game. Probably the Super Bowl, could have won it again, what if. This year, though, they do feel like you can take a roster that is easily the best in the National Football League, lose Sweat and Milton Williams, and still find some diamonds in the rough during free agency, get some really nice draft picks because Howie's been so fantastic, and even add a couple of people who you don't think are going to be anything special. Like, I didn't think Zack Baun was going to do anything, and then he turns out to be an all-pro because the coaching is so good.
True.
Which, speaking of coaching, we'll talk about offensive coordinators in a second, but I'm ready to go. The draft is end of April. I believe the weekend of April 26th, 25th is going to be the draft.
Yep.
Plenty of hype until then, and we'll obviously cover it all here. So if you haven't been with us for a off season, it's almost as busy as a regular season. It just has a lot less, I would say, scheduling, Josh, right? Because we always have a Monday recap show after a game. We always have a Saturday preview show, a Sunday live stream. Off-season's a little more kind of shotgun, close your eyes, throw a dart at a board, and you have no idea when the posts are going to come out because the news is so random. But we're working pretty hard. We're working really hard.
Yeah, and there is absolutely one guarantee. It may be a little bit less, I'll say that, because of the whole free agency, maybe not as big players this free agency, but it's a lot more of the quick jump on the live stream because last year obviously was like it felt like every couple hours, like, oh, hey, there's another signing, jump on, do a live stream. So if you haven't already, make sure that your notifications are turned on. Everyone, lots of subs already. Make sure to do that. I will also, because I think I had this here to share for dates. Hang on, there was, is it going to work for me? This is the rough part of the screen. Let me see. There we go. That's a little bit better. You can kind of see it. Draft is, like Thomas, you were saying, 24th to the 26th of April.
Yeah.
Free agency starts March 12th. The 10th is illegal tampering. I know it's always confusing for people. It's so odd because it's basically already wrapped up by the 12th, but those are the official dates. And then the other interesting dates are just ones to point out. Shout out to the Inquirer, great article, source of info. NFL Scouting Combine, February 24th. It's like 2 weeks away. That's like less than 2 weeks away.
It's very soon.
It feels so strange because of, last year we were not at this point. But when you go to a Super Bowl, you have a lot less time condensed to try to, check up on draft picks, get ready for the combine. You got that. March 30th, league meeting. April 21st, as I mentioned, right before the draft, that'll be the Eagles' offseason workout program. And then after the draft, you got May 2nd through the 5th and May 9th through the 12th for the post-draft rookie mini camps. So lots of stuff all throughout the offseason.
And speaking of things going on in the offseason, we have now officially both announced it, that Josh and I are
there you go.
Bringing a couple of subscribers. We don't have the exact number yet. We're working on that, obviously. But Josh and I have a pretty cool opportunity to take you guys, some of you guys, to the NovaCare complex to have an ice cream party with the Philly Dogs. And that's exactly what it is. We're going to get to take subscribers, tour the whole NovaCare complex, probably get to look at both Lombardi trophies, Josh, would be my guess. They're probably going to be in there.
It feels appropriate.
Then, we're going to get to hang out with literally Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean, Keely Ringo. Am I missing
Jordan
somebody?
Davis.
And Jordan Davis, obviously.
Yep.
Those five. So pretty good year to do it. And all you got to do is be subscribed. We're going to announce how to go ahead and officially enter and how we're going to pick people coming up. We don't have a date set for it yet. We know it's in the spring is what they've told us.
Right.
But sub to both channels to be eligible. So make sure you guys go ahead and do that. So we're pumped for that one. That's going to be very fun.
There we go. Yes. And we will be documenting it all. Obviously, you'll see it on YouTube. Instagram is maybe a little bit better if you want like the immediate updates. I'm going to bring gear that I did not bring last time because, photo ops and autograph opportunities, things like that. And I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to react, quite honestly. So I'm pumped, to say the least. But the fact to meet the Philly Dogs doesn't get much better than that. Little collab with the Eagles. So shout out to them. We appreciate that. Jordan with a 5 also appreciate that too. Says first was an underdog run. Second was pure revenge. I also think it's Landon who delivers a great speech. I choose violence.
There you go. Yeah,
that's pretty
if you watched any of the Eagle Mic'd Up stuff on their YouTube channel, which is always fantastic, then Landon Dickerson's an easy pick for that. I think this whole Super Bowl, Josh, it all comes down to Jalen Hurts. It does nothing more for any player than it does for Jalen Hurts, because there are a lot of great players in the Eagles who might have potentially been future Hall of Famers. You obviously talk about offensive linemen who definitely will be. Saquon Barkley, this obviously makes him very much a Hall of Fame caliber running back, especially if this sort of stuff continues the next couple of years. A.J. Brown up there as well. Darius Slay now officially. But what this does for Jalen Hurts cannot be overlooked, because Jalen Hurts has been overlooked his entire career. And there were, I'd say, 80% of the media that when you started this season had him outside the top 10. And by midway through the season, we're still, saying he's not good enough. Are they going to win in spite of him? Are they going to lose because of him? The fact that he not only looked fantastic in a Super Bowl in a game when Saquon Barkley did virtually nothing because Kansas City bottled it up and led Philadelphia to their second Super Bowl title against what many people consider the best defense they faced all year long cannot be understated. And I'm so excited for Jalen Hurts. It doesn't matter what Jalen Hurts does the rest of his career, even though I think he's going to continue to ascend, and that's going to obviously help him out in a big way. What this has done puts him in a completely different, untouchable category than the Josh Allens of the world, than the Lamar Jacksons of the world. The Matthew Stafford, he's up in that category now. Winning a Super Bowl versus a guy like a Josh Allen who hasn't made it to one, regardless of how much you think the talent gap is there, the actual gap between both quarterbacks is monumental with Hurts far in the league now, and I'm just so pumped for him. It's got to be so exciting for him to sit back and realize it.
Absolutely, yes. And I was trying to find a couple different clips, and this is I think it's got to be the best photo, right?
Yeah.
With the cigar, the Lombardi Trophy, what he just accomplished, going off trying to get a little bit of silence or some room to himself, which is impossible, of course, but as much as he can. That is the iconic image and picture there. And then the Jordan commercial was perfect timing, as well.
Mm-hmm.
So man, how great could that be for all the doubters? But yeah, Thomas, you're right. We've had and a decent amount over the course of the season, whether it's people in the streams, whether it's people in the chat, whether it's people on Twitter, and the doubters just keep coming. But Jalen Hurts, I loved it. He had the mic drop as well. He's like, look, if you're to keep doubting me, and that's if that's what it takes to win world championships, then keep it coming, right? Just keep it coming, because that's what fuels him. So it was incredible to see that. Good for him. Totally excited. I love the clip. There's a million different clips, and by the way, I think it's about to air the NFL Mic'd Up from the Super Bowl. So to be here in about 8 minutes, which I cannot wait to check that out. It's gonna be incredible. But Jalen in the clip with Smitty, and saying we got some catching up to do. Like, this won't be the last time. And then same thing whenever he throws the touchdown pass to Smitty, Jordan Mailata is like, I'm paraphrasing, but like, you're him. And so then Jalen's like, I know. He's like, I know. He's like, they shouldn't doubt you. He's like, I know.
Right.
It's just the confidence alone. But you're right, Tom.
Oh, I think you muted yourself.
Oh, okay. Every time I
There
go
you
back
go.
and forth. There we go. I was just saying every time it's great to see for QB1 because people doubt him and just proving him wrong. That's all he's doing.
Yep.
Canucks Briggs with a 5. We appreciate that. Says, thanks for a great year. Couldn't ask for a better commentary duo. Well, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yeah, that's very nice of you. Yeah, we appreciate all the kind words. I got a lot of really nice comments, a lot of nice Twitter DMs the past 48 72 hours. We know you guys appreciate these shows because what the numbers are doing, right? Like these two are the 2 biggest shows on YouTube, so it's not lost on us that you guys watch it, but just to hear from you guys how much you actually enjoy it, is it means a lot to us because we're obviously massive Eagle fans, but we're also trying to give you guys the best content possible. So we're working nonstop covering the Philadelphia Eagles, and to have you guys enjoy it so much means a ton. So we appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yep. Mike with a 2. Do we know if we lost coaches yet? This was earlier. I'm just getting to the super chats, but we've lost Kellen Moore officially, and feels like Doug Nussmeier is about as much of a lock as you can say.
I think the Nussmeier one is a big one, Josh. And if you watch the mic'd up, not only from the Super Bowl, at least the clips we've gotten so far, but previous ones, Nussmeier being the quarterback coach is kind of the guy who really is in Hurts's ear and closest with Jalen Hurts, because Kellen Moore's got to worry about the whole offense. Nussmeier is like the guy with Jalen Hurts, and I think his loss is going to be a bigger one than Moore. I am very excited, though, and you covered this in your show a couple of hours ago on your channel, the fact that they did announce they're going to do a full, a completely league-wide search for the new offensive coordinator, because Kevin Patullo, I think he talks a good talk. I think he has the resume. I think he can be the hire, and I have no problem with it because, as I said in my show 2 days ago, we have no idea, why Vic Fangio works and why Brian Johnson didn't, because we're not in the building, right? Like, obviously, there can be some, historical references to help us kind of believe that this guy's going to be good and that guy's going to be bad, but we really don't know. So Kevin Patullo could be the next great Sean McVay, and we don't know that yet. But I like the fact they're going to search far and wide to go find somebody, and I do think that the quarterback coach and Nussmeier leaving is going to be something that Jalen Hurts is going to be pretty bummed about.
Yeah, it's a very big difference. So I'm right there with you on it because, you look at all the positional, and Anthony brought this up in the live stream last night too, but you look at so many of the guys, Alex Tanney, who got the promotion to the quarterback coach role.
Yep.
Like that played a big factor, not just with Brian Johnson, same deal there. So if Nussmeier leaves, who is that going to be? One of Anthony's top potential picks for the QB coach was Mike McCoy, and there's some potential there with some veteran leadership experience, all that. But I think that's massive. Hopefully, you're gonna there's not many openings necessarily, but we look at you've got all these positional coaches who have made a huge impact on both sides of the ball. Defensively, Christian Parker, the secondary,
Parker for sure,
unbelievable job. Clint Hurt was a defensive coordinator with the Seahawks, not very successful, but then D-line coach. The difference, too, same deal for Jalen Carter's development. He's a stud, but you still have to credit the positional coaches day in and day out. Nolan Smith, Jalex Hunt, those guys played that way for a reason. So Clint Hunt's incredible. Bobby King, linebacker coach. Aaron Moorhead has been there, but still just kind of being that constant voice. And Jamal Singleton for the running backs. It goes across the board. So I agree with you. I'm glad that they're opening up to the external market for, all of them, but certainly for the offensive coordinator. But I'm not. I've seen a few comments, right, like a little bit concerned. You see where this thing goes. We understand the PTSD, Brian Johnson, and all that. But I'm not near as. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not near as concerned. Like even if it's Kevin Patullo, I know he hasn't called the offense, but I said this on the video a couple hours as well. It's just a massive difference from having let me just say this. If you had Brian Johnson even as your offensive coordinator, he's not good. He was not good. And whoever was calling plays, right, whatever. Let's just say it was that same offense. They were, by all intents and purposes, the same scoring offense as this year's offense. They were seventh. Now, how you get there is very different, but they were the seventh scoring offense. If you pair that up with the number 1 defense in the league, you're going really far. Now, do you blow out the Chiefs? No, probably not. But do you win? You still could argue yes. Like, I know there were some fits there and there were issues. I'm not saying that is the answer, but a lot of people were going like, oh my gosh, we're doomed if they go with Kevin Patullo. It's like, hang on. I know that there's a lot of emotion there, but the defense is not the 29th ranked defense. You have the Godfather. You have the man in Vic Fangio with the guys that he's going to be able to do it with. So I don't know. I'm not as concerned, but they're fair points. Yes, you definitely need to make sure they make the right decisions. In Howie we trust. I think we'll be okay.
I think we're also going to be okay when it comes to free agents. I'm seeing a lot of people asking,
Mm-hmm.
below Josh Sweat or Milton Williams, right? Those are the two big names that Philadelphia is trying to figure out in terms of free agency. We know Bond's going to get signed, right? I mean, you and I both been told that Bond is it basically a guarantee.
Yep.
Could the Raiders throw some ridiculous $20 million a year at him and, number one linebacker in the NFL? Yes, but I think that Zack Baun understands that he's the perfect fit in this scheme with the linebacker coach and obviously with Vic Fangio. I think he's going to be back. So let's assume that Zack Baun is back. Then the other two real question marks, besides Mekhi Becton and Oren Burks, both of which I would bring back, are obviously Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. I don't think Philadelphia is going to bring back either, Josh. I think both Josh Sweat and Milton Williams have been underpaid throughout their career. Definitely Josh Sweat. Milton really has been... He's been good, but he's never been a starter caliber defensive tackle, at least in terms of statistics, until this year. There's an argument last year, but I think this year was his real breakout season, and a contract year helps out too. They can both leave, and Philadelphia is going to be okay because they can draft edge rushers, they can add D tackles in free agency, but we're forgetting Moro Ojomo and Jalen Hunt, Josh, are ascending in a major way. Jalen Hunt in that Super Bowl might have been the Bird's best pass rusher. I mean, he might have had, I know Josh Sweat obviously had the most sacks. Jalen Hunt was right there with them. He had an incredible night. And if that's what rookie Jalen Hunt looks like, what does year two Jalen Hunt look like? You saw what the Nolan Smith jump was from year one to year two. Goodness gracious. And Moro Ojomo is a seriously impressive defensive tackle that has a little more pass rush in him than I had ever imagined coming out of Texas. I mean, the guy can get after the quarterback. And Jordan Davis is starting to pop the past, 2 or 3 months. So I think what's craziest about this whole thing, Super Bowl, free agency, trade, draft, is the fact that the Eagles are going to lose 2 good players, very good players, but they have backups ready to go. And then they have a whole slew of draft picks and $20 million in cap space. So I feel great about the offseason, and anybody that they add is just going to be icing on the cake to a roster that no matter what happens is going to be top 3 in the National Football League to start the season in 2025.
Yeah, there's so many things to like about that, and I was trying to get the stat. Shout out to Brendan Deeg here, but Jalix, the 5 pressures was second on the team in the Super Bowl. 4 hurries was first. 1 quarterback hit, and then the half sack, which it should have been 1. I
thought he had 2 halves. Yeah,
I thought, I was like at least that, but whatever. It's a half sack in the Super Bowl.
Is what it is.
He was a menace, as Brendan was saying there too, but it's only going to get better, and with his athleticism. So that's the danger. I mean, let's just be honest. If this team can stop the run, then it's game over, because Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt on the edges, it doesn't get more athletic and speed and like trying to contain. It's impossible. Like it's just forget about it. And the fact that they're able to do both there, you're feeling it in a very good way. We'll just say that. Fernie with a 5, appreciate that. Says, is Carson Wentz our good luck charm in the Super Bowl? He's
Seems
been
that
to
way.
both of our Super Bowl wins on the sidelines. Kind of feel bad for him.
Yeah, well, he also did not give Jalen Hurts a high five at the end of the game or give him a hug or whatever. Listen, Carson Wentz has kind of gone through it. Carson Wentz was he should have been the MVP of the league in 2017, and now he can barely be a backup in the National Football League. And so it's tough. And obviously to watch both the replacements win Super Bowls, and Nick Foles and Jalen Hurts, I feel bad for the guy who was a really, really good guy, and I think got dragged through the mud by the media a little bit more than he actually deserved. So, is what it is. Best of luck to him. I hope he got a lot of good coaching with Andy Reid and KC and can land somewhere on his feet and get another chance. That's my honest hope.
Yeah. If it brought us good luck, we'll take that. But
sure,
it is what it is. I think his phrase was like what he had made peace with it necessarily. Like, I don't know if he was at peace, but made peace with
it. Sure,
whatever. So we got a dub. That's really all that matters. Bob, appreciate that 5, man. I need to email you back too. But it says, can we congratulate the Chiefs on their record-setting for most garbage time points scored in a Super Bowl?
Yeah, goodness gracious. I saw people trying to give Xavier Worthy a lot of love for his massive day, and it was like, I guess he had a pretty good day against the backups. Like, the second touchdown was against the backups. So, it's what it is. I think Xavier Worthy's a great player. The Chiefs are obviously going to be back. They just have some serious retooling to go ahead and happen across the offensive line, the defensive line definitely as well. And they need a number 1 weapon because Kelce's going to be gone. And without Kelce, who are you throwing to? Hollywood Brown is non-existent, and Xavier Worthy is kind of a gadget guy. So they have a long way to go. They definitely have a long way to go.
Yeah, they're not in the best way. Just with the cap room that they have and the moves they're going to have to make. It's still Andy Reid. It's still Patrick Mahomes. So they'll probably be able to piece things together. But we'll see. Like you said, they're not going to have exactly those same weapons. 48 way with a 5. Appreciate that. Says I'm from Texas. There we go. And been having a Kelce moment every day trolling Cowboys fans. I've been unbearable.
That's got to be fun.
Love both channels, guys. Go Birds.
Best part of the Super Bowl win outside of Philadelphia is that fact that Dak Prescott is like, we're going to do this next year. Like, we're definitely going to duplicate this. And then did you see Joe Burrow yesterday to apparently tell his front office, like, hey, the Eagles are paying 2 receivers. They have a great offensive line. Why don't we model our team after the Eagles? And you go, yeah, that'd be pretty nice if you had a GM who actually could. Like, you can't just, model yourself after the Philadelphia Eagles and just, like, make it happen, right? You got to have cap wizardry. And you got to nail draft picks. And those are 2 things that the Bengals haven't really done, post Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. So easier said than done. But it's fun for people to finally be like, hey, wait a second. Can we be like the Eagles? Because they're kind of stacked and paid everybody, and everyone's under contract for the next couple of years. Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, really
yet they can't quite figure out how to do it. That's the issue.
Really is.
GMs try to, and then they get in cap hell, and they can't figure out how to get out of it. So shout out to Howie Roseman. He can. Jerry Jones claims that he manages it very well. He does not. But yeah, I was getting a kick out of the same thing, seeing Dak Prescott say, we're close. We're close. He's like, we beat them.
They're real close.
Fairly well. He's like, we beat with regularity both teams that were in the NFC Championship games. Like, sure you do.
Sure.
Yeah. When it matters, do you? Because that's the most important thing. You may be able to get to the playoffs sometimes, but when they do, can't win the big one. There's still the delusion is hilarious. It's great. They could just keep believing that. Supreme Rich with a 2. Hurts going to give us a Homelander speech. Okay.
Could be fun.
Yeah. I'm interested. I don't know. Sometimes Jalen with the team, we get the mic'd up clips and the things that he shares with the team or behind closed doors, or even some of the sound bites from his interviews on, with Jimmy Fallon and the others. You're like, that's not a Jalen that we normally see. It's great. Like, I love that. We love those behind the scenes. I'm interested to see, I don't know if it's going to be a Jalen who's very boisterous, or that's never Jalen, but more so for him, or if it's just going to be like chill, not say too much, like a thanks, appreciate it, but it is. I've gotten a kick out of watching these interviews because I'm like, I don't think I've seen Jalen relax and smile that much before, It's
hasn't happened.
Why not? It's pretty good. Let's see. Michael here with the 5 also. Appreciate that. Said, would y'all think Howie will trade Atlanta Atlanta like a 3rd for Kyle Pitts, or do y'all think we are fully set for tight end? Don't think Atlanta will get much for him.
I'm sorry. I don't want to give up a 3rd for Kyle Pitts. He's not been worth that so far. But, 5th or a 6th, sure. By the way, if you see me opening up something, my Super Bowl T-shirts just came
showed
in,
up. Let's go.
That was quick. My wife's one is here, and I figured I'll open it up here just so people can see what it looks like, because I gave a bunch of these away yesterday, and I shipped them all. So if you are watching the stream, but I've been waiting for this thing to come in. I want to open it up, and now we're on stream. It's like we might as well.
Yeah. Mine are still not showing up, so I'm disappointed now.
How about that, huh? I got another one too, but
come on,
man.
So that's the gray shirt.
I got the one. Yeah, I got the gray one, and I got the one with the big Lombardi trophy on it too, that I saw in there. So
yeah.
But it's delayed or whatever. But
okay.
I don't know. It's pretty sick.
Pretty
it
legit.
Goes right with my Super Bowl 51. I bought that the same night that it happened. So fun stuff. Thanks to my wife for bringing it in.
There we go.
Cool.
Gotta love that. I've got some others that are shipping out. So Bob and others, if you're here in this stream, I'll email. I've just been delayed on that, so don't worry. Have no fear. It'll be shipped out in a bit. Michael, back to Michael's super chat here for a second. Kyle Pitts, I would say no. Also, it's the cap reasons for it as well. You're going to the draft. I don't think you're going to trade any sort of draft capital to get that. You've got Dallas Goedert, but you're also probably going in saying they're going to draft a tight end that they believe in the future, if that's the direction. Because I just can't envision you say, even if you believe in Kyle, I just don't think that he's going to take that draft capital because of the salary cap and those ramifications there. But,
I agree.
Cold Cash with a 5. Thanks for that. Super Champs. W streams, or winning streams, I guess, from all year from you too. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Heck yeah.
Seriously, y'all make it possible. So y'all are the best. Mike M with another 5. I meant position coaches. So the previous comment, like Clint Hurd, Christian Parker, etc. Yes, definitely. Position coaches. I mean, they don't get enough credit and enough love. I know they're not in front of the media because of the way the regular press conferences and all that stuff, but like everyone else, the other teams looking to fill positions, they recognize it. But for the mass public viewing, unless you are just like religiously following the team, a lot of people can't necessarily go, oh, hey, who's the quarterback coach on the Eagles, right? Like that's just not a natural thing that occurs. But they definitely deserve that for the way the guys have been playing. David, appreciate the 5. Says, I love the show. I really enjoy the content and analysis. Tough to get Birds info up here in Connecticut. It's like a little bit of home. Keep it up. Go Birds.
There you go. Appreciate it. That's what we're here for, right? And whether you're in Connecticut or we had a lot of people watching our stream during the Super Bowl from Australia, from Hawaii, from England, so
Japan, all over the world.
Yeah, we had
Nigeria
a lot of Japan too. Yep.
It's
we're having a lot
wild
of fun,
when we see all those locations.
Yeah.
CJ with a 5. What are y'all's thoughts on Nick having Allen, Lamar, and Burrow all ahead of Hurts on his Mahomes mountain, and Jaden right behind Hurts as well?
Let's just clarify one thing, right? Joe Burrow is a more talented quarterback than Jalen Hurts. Josh Allen is as well, and that's fine. I'll say that. But there's one quarterback out of those 3 that actually wins important games, and it's Jalen Hurts, and that's what matters in the end, right? And it's just so funny that people don't understand these things. And there's tons of media people that are going to rank Jalen Hurts as the 5th to 10th best quarterback in their 2025 rankings. But you just got to remember, a lot of the media people really care about numbers and skill. Like, how good is Joe Burrow? Really good. Joe Burrow's fantastic. So is Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. They're all great. Which of those quarterbacks actually wins Super Bowls, or at least has one Super Bowl head-to-head? Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. So in reality, the 2 best quarterbacks in the league right now, with all things being considered, are Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. And there really isn't an argument for anything but that, because how many times has Joe Burrow actually won a Super Bowl? None. At least he's been to one. Josh Allen hasn't been to one. Lamar Jackson can't even get out of the AFC Championship game. I mean, goodness gracious. The difference is massive. But if you just want to talk about skill, then sure, Joe Burrow is much better, or not much better, but Joe Burrow is a better quarterback, and I'm fine with saying that. But again, who would you rather have in a Super Bowl? I think it's probably been pretty clear. So far, it's Jalen Hurts, because we only have a Jalen Hurts sample size, and it's 2x better than anybody else's.
Yep, and he's got the chill factor. He's got the, like you say, playing big time in a big time game.
Yes.
We've said this a number of times on both of our shows, on the stream as well after the game, but like, There's no argument. Even for Patrick Mahomes apologists, there's no argument to say that Patrick Mahomes outplayed Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, without a doubt, very clearly has outplayed Patrick Mahomes in both Super Bowls. Now, the Chiefs won one of those, obviously, but Mahomes still did not outplay Jalen Hurts. And so I agree with you. I think that you could even go back and make the same argument for, and I'm not saying that, Jalen Hurts is Tom Brady, but you go back and look at Tom Brady's career. How many times could you say the exact same thing? Was he the most skilled quarterback? No, but he continued to win, and that was the most infuriating thing for everyone else, because you're like, he doesn't have the best deep ball. He cannot throw the ball like a Peyton Manning. He does not have those same tools. But when push came to shove, in those big moments, in those big games, he was the one that you wanted leading those teams.
100%.
So I would say it's the same thing for Jalen Hurts, and he's 100%. Right there, 1 and 2. Jake,
I agree. We
appreciate the 2. Do you think we should get Myles Garrett? I think first too much, I believe is his question, like a 1 first-round pick?
Yeah.
I don't think that's possible with 1.
I'm actually out on a first-round pick for Myles Garrett. I
just
nothing
1
more,
though? Like just
nothing
1?
More. Maybe just 1, but nothing more. Nothing more.
Because if it's 1 first-round pick, I mean, it's basically a second-round pick. It's like 32.
Sure. So, okay, you convinced me. 1, nothing more. The whole 2 first-round draft picks, no, absolutely not. Because you got to realize, you get Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett doesn't take rest. You don't sub out Myles Garrett. So that means you're taking reps away from Nolan Smith and J.L.X. Hunt. And I think the future there, it's not Myles Garrett good, but the 2 of them together are going to be very, very special going forward. So I would rather keep that first-round draft pick. There are going to be some edge rushers who are going to fall a little bit later that Howie might be able to kind of double up on. I wouldn't be shocked if the Eagles trade out of the first round for someone to come back in and get a quarterback who's fallen a little bit. Either way, I wouldn't do more than a 1 for Garrett. The age is probably the biggest factor. He's 29, right? So there's at best 3 good years left. And, with jokes on Nolan Smith, there's hopefully 10 good years left. It's a big difference.
Yep. I'm in agreement because it's the age factor, it's the playing development, and also the salary cap. Because if you do that, then you're also going to figure out like how do we, you get the void years. Howie's a wizard, so when someone, I've had a couple of different conversations and people are like, oh no, it's impossible. Even if you wanted Myles Garrett, it's impossible. Salary cap is just a myth to Howie Roseman. Like, 100%. Tell me you want a player and you can get a player. Howie will make it work somehow with a salary cap. So that's not an issue. It is, though, when you're talking about the longevity of it and saying if you're going to trade that away, you start taking a lot of resources to go, okay, well, you do that, but then you're going to begin to lose a lot of these other free agents then. And I think if you're talking about they do need to re-sign Zack Baun or get the extension done or whatever, that feels like the first decision because, like you're talking about, Thomas, you have those younger guys to develop and you're not necessarily needing to reach for a game changer, so to speak. John M. with a 5. We give the Chiefs nothing at all. I think that was going back to the comment before of give the Chiefs some credit.
Literally nothing.
That's true.
Literally nothing.
Yeah, no, they've won enough. They've gotten plenty, so we're not giving them anything. Different John F with the 10 said I missed the stream while at a Super Bowl party. Hope you guys had a great stream. Go Birds. Go Birds.
There you go.
John.
We appreciate it. We did. We had like almost 200,000 people. We're over 200,000 people check in on it. So.
Just ridiculous.
Very nice.
Very nice. Insane to have that. But John, you know what? You did your part because it worked. So we missed you. We did miss you. But the fact that you were not there
it did work.
Helped in a way for us to win the Super Bowl. So in a roundabout, it did work. Isaac with a 5. Let's see. I'm sorry if this was asked already, but what are your top choices for offensive coordinator? Okay, there we go. I don't think we had a question for top.
Yeah, I don't think we have top. I mean, obviously, Frank Reich's name is obviously got the name associated with this, like Frank Reich. So I think Frank would be interesting. I don't like how his stuff ended with the Colts. I do think Kevin Patullo is the most likely if I had to bet money on it. Is there another name that really jumps out at you? Bobby Slowick no longer out there. He takes up position coach, which is crazy. His downfall from being like the guy to going down and not even being an offensive coordinator. So I think it's Patullo, and if they wanted to be kind of crazy, Frank Reich. And if they have some guy that's not on our radar yet that they really like, could be another option. But you really have to just make sure that it works with Jalen Hurts, right? That's all that matters in the grand scheme of things, and that they're going to continue to develop the offense because this offense can still be developed, right? I mean, you can still go plenty higher. They had plenty of times where they couldn't move the football in the first quarter of games, back in, early November, late October. It was like, okay, let's go a little faster here. And as someone who would like to score in all 4 quarters, I think that can be something to keep an eye on in terms of making sure you haven't tapped fully out on your potential with this offense.
Yes. Yep. I would also agree. And I had several different people that were asking or actually making the comment of this, and kind of the analogy, like the offense is essentially like a Ferrari. So you just need someone to not wreck it. Like, we don't need anything to be crazy, but just, it's already souped up. It's got everything that you possibly could want. You want somebody, probably, this is my viewpoint, but an outside thought, someone who's called plays, don't necessarily need an experiment. I could be proven completely wrong, and I will gladly be like, hey, you know what, Kevin Patullo, what a mastermind, fantastic, offense looks great, but I would prefer someone who has been calling plays. So if it is a Frank Reich or it's another one, there's a bunch of different examples. I will say, because Anthony is here in the chat and immediately responded saying, I know a guy with a lengthy OC list.
He's got
he's like 17 different names.
He's got a big list.
If you want to know, go to at Debona NFL on Twitter, and he's
whenever
got
stuff
basically
like this
all
happens,
names.
Whether you're looking for like a free agent target or the top draft targets or the OC hire to be, Anthony Debona's Twitter account, then linked to obviously the website where he's got all the different stuff. That's going to give you the most comprehensive rundown of who the names are. The name is going to come from that list, just a matter of which one it's going to be. So shout out to Anthony for always having everybody accounted for. Which is really
and
great.
The best part to me is that he not only has all that stuff, but I mean, he'll be able to tell you, hey, this person's cousin is related to this person's brother, and so therefore they got some sort of connection with the team. It's like, I don't know how he finds all that stuff out, but that's to stay posted and stay up to date with who the potential candidates are. He sent over, I mean, legit, I think I've got that tweet. There's 14, 16 names potentially to consider.
It's a lot. So
I'll link this on the previous one. I will link it as well. It's not the full list that he sent me on a tweet, but he's got 10 3 of them I think are already hired or off the list, but there's still like 7 remaining. So I'll link it for people that are interested in watching it back. Christopher with a 20 bomb, let's go, says Dallas sucks. What do we do with Bradbury and Huff? What is number 1 positional need in the draft, assuming we only keep Baun, and then go Birds?
Yeah, so number 1 is edge rusher. I think that's clear. I think that they will most likely be getting an offensive lineman at some point, because even though Lane comes back, what happens with Becton? Becton comes back, you still need another offensive lineman. That seems very, very clear. Corner is probably a name or someone to watch in like a 3rd or a 4th round, like a Jeremiah Trotter Jr., cornerback comparison in the 5th round, somebody who you can potentially work on and grow depending on, obviously Slay leaving, and then if you just sign Isaiah Rodgers back or not. What was the first part of that question? I was just thinking I should just
I'm with you. And I don't know if you were saying it because I was checking on one of the chats there, but tight end also just because of the depth on that side. So
tight end
draft
sure.
one.
Edge rusher or offensive lineman is going to be the first round pick. Very clearly.
The question though is, what do we do with Bradbury and Huff? So those are the
Bradbury
two,
is probably done.
Yeah.
Huff is either going to be, unless they have some magic trade partner where they include him in, Huff's going to be on the roster, and you got to pray that they can develop him, and he has a Nolan Smith-esque jump in year 2. I mean, that's all you got, because you paid him. It's a 3-year deal, and you're not getting out of it after year 1. They're not cutting. They're not cutting Bryce Huff.
No, they're not. I mean, Howie still believes in it. I know that, like, what else are you going to say? You're not just, well, yeah, he's a bust. We totally. But they said the story is yet to be written, and he feels that way. Maybe. Otherwise, it's a big loss. But at the same time, you know what? Hey, we got a Super Bowl out of still missing on that. Not many teams. Yeah. I don't know the history, the exact stats, but I could imagine not many teams could probably go back and say, you sign a $50 million pass rusher or name any position who's inactive for the Super Bowl, a healthy scratch, or just doesn't even have basically a helpful season to let alone get to the Super Bowl, but also then to win it at that point. So yeah.
Well, and listen,
difficult
Nolan Smith was not good last year. He barely played, but when he did play, it was like he doesn't look ready to go, right? And the same can be said about Bryce Huff. And so the Nolan Smith jump could very well happen to Bryce Huff. We know how hard Vic Fangio was working on Bryce Huff, and he kept telling us it's a big-time project in terms of the training camp period whenever he was technically the starter, and then he lost it. So there's time to fix it. Don't get your hopes up. I'd rather play Jalen Hunt, but think of what you could potentially have, like a little diamond in the rough. If he gets back to his jet-type playing style or jet-type playing numbers, it's like signing a pass rusher this offseason that you didn't have to pay extra for in terms of draft capital.
That's fair. I will a little bit with the Nolan slander. Just a little. Nolan was getting better towards the end of the season. He was one of the best pass rushers against the Bucs in the playoff game.
Yeah,
I know it's not saying much, but he improved.
But you're also like the biggest Nolan Smith fan, and I think that's fair. In reality, your judgment's a little clouded. He was not ready to go in year 1. Year 2, and that's why it's been so exciting this year, because it's a night and day difference. It really is. So let's just hope that Bryce Huff can have a night and day difference going forward.
Yeah, I haven't seen the progression as much, but you're right. You could.
Sure.
We'll see. Josh H with a 5. It took Howie close to half a decade to build the roster the way it has been since 2017. No team can just simply copy him for a now season. Yeah. It's the master planning to build these things in the void years and get your guys and set it up. Yeah. So that's true.
Well, and he's hit on 3 straight first and second round draft picks. That's the hard part to do. I bet if you did a whole master, you could probably ask ChatGPT which teams have hit on the most first and second rounders in the past 4 or 5 years. Philly's probably up there at number 1, because there are plenty of first-round draft picks that turn out to just be average dudes and second-round draft picks who are non-existent. And Philly's got legit starters and maybe future Hall of Famers out of multiple ones of these draft picks. So that's the hardest part to duplicate, because now you have 6 players on rookie contracts for the next, at minimum, 2 seasons. Especially, Jordan Davis, you're going to exercise a 5th-year option and pay him nothing for another 2 years, and then you'll pay him. So Jalen Carter's going to be on a rookie contract for 3 more seasons? They'll probably pay him early, but still, that's the biggest difference between us and the Bengals, us and the Cowboys. Mozzie Smith is not a generational pass rusher. He's not a generational D tackle, right? But he's on the same contract essentially as Jalen Carter. Big difference between those two, and that's one of many reasons why Dallas is a poverty franchise, and we are obviously Super Bowl champs.
Yeah. They want to. They'd prefer to be able to do it like
They would
Howie
love
can,
to.
but
Sure.
they just they're not willing to, and
Sure.
also they don't have really as much of the know-how. So, Rich with a 2, going back to Myles Garrett, says Garrett will be an Eagle. There are people still holding out belief. It's like we said, it's not impossible for Howie to do it. He would be able to figure out a way. I just, this would be one of my predictions, like Anthony DeBona, who is, I believe, still here in the chat, with the 0.0% chance that Saquon Barkley becomes an Eagle.
Saquon Barkley, yes.
0.0% chance that Myles Garrett becomes an Eagle.
There you go.
So,
okay,
maybe we're proven wrong. And
I'll
would be crazy.
10% chance because it's Howie, and I think Garrett definitely has the Eagles on a short list. And after what he saw the Eagles do, everyone keeps saying, well, why don't you go to the Commanders? Or, it's like, okay, maybe, but Washington's not a guarantee to be great next year. Like, the Houston Texans were supposed to be the, sophomore superstars in the AFC, and CJ Stroud wasn't bad. He wasn't that good, and they were not that great overall, despite getting all those great players on the defensive line, Danielle Hunter, and in free agency. So, I think if you are Myles Garrett and you really want to play in big, meaningful games, you can take the risk, and maybe Washington does. Maybe Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, I don't know. But if you really want to kind of play in some big games, Philadelphia is basically a guarantee, and maybe he could, force his way and be like, I'll only play for the Eagles and make it easier on Howie Roseman.
True, yeah. You take and take maybe a little bit of the discount there, help him out in a little bit, but
yeah,
we'll
be
see.
nice.
He'd probably try to max it out, which is understandable.
Sure.
Advocate with a 20 bomb, appreciate that. I saw your comments multiple times, and for people that are seeing the super chats, I'm getting to them in the order, so I apologize if it's taken a little bit. We read all of them. We're gonna get
go
to
ahead
them.
and just blaze through them. I won't ramble.
I don't want to.
My fault. I'm rambling.
Well, we still try to, as much as we can address these because we do appreciate you guys. We want to make sure that we hit on everything, but we're not looking it over because I saw your comment and others. But with 20, appreciate that. Said, hey boys, thanks for the content this season. I relied on you for the insight and analysis, and for the record, I was the guy yelling "Fire Sirianni" in the Cleveland game. I deserve 5% of the credit for all of this. Go Birds!
There you go. Well, I call for Sirianni to be fired after the Tampa Bay Bucks game. So, I will admit that like everyone else can. So, I think we all did it at some point this season. Browns game was a little bit further up. We won after that game too. So, but after the Bucks game, I think I have a video. You can probably go back and watch it. And it was like, this is not good. And it's not getting better. And I was wrong.
Yeah, we all had criticism. So, yeah. But no, we appreciate that. I am curious if, like, he's saying, was the guy at the Browns, I don't know if that was, like, the guy that was yelling at him. That
was he the guy?
I mean, I don't know. He's saying it. I have no way to confirm it, but if you were and you got the team rallied behind, hey, I'll give you thanks for that. I don't know if that's legit because it's you or you're saying you were one of the people, but regardless, we appreciate the support. And yeah, try to as much as insight and analysis. But yeah, I wanted to get to that comment because mentioning. Back to the super chats in order though. J Sid with a 5. Got to sign Baun and Becton. Told you Jake was money indoors. You did say that. Yes. Should not have doubted him. He was crazy. Edge and linebacker in the draft. Run it back. And then that was a great year.
There you go.
It was a good year.
Very,
very good year. Doesn't get better than a Super Bowl, obviously. Edge and linebacker in the draft. That would be interesting. Linebacker. Totally agree with the edge.
Linebacker in terms of
Nakobe, he's not going to be back till he could get back a lot closer. But Advocate, by the way, is saying yes, he was that guy. He has receipts, so that's pretty wild. We got the guy himself.
If you have
in
receipts,
the chat here.
Send us. Yeah, let us know if that is that. If you have the receipts, DM us them on Twitter. I'd love to see them.
Yeah, I would.
I believe you.
That's legit though. I want to see. I would because I've seen the angle of Sirianni, from the television broadcast and for his, but I would actually love to see that. So
this is the guy.
Let's
this
go.
is like the guy. This is cool.
He's him. Cool. Speaking of him, get to your super chat here. The 7. Let's see. It says the Eagles trade for. Okay, I feel like this is like a massive trade package here. Eagles trade 4 firsts, 3 seconds, 2/3, McKee Hunt, Tanner McKee, and Jalix Hunt for Garrett and 2nd overall pick, and get Abdul Carter. And the Eagles are the first ever three-peat.
Not giving up that much draft capital.
I mean, I'm sitting here going, wait a minute. I'm trying to make sure I was reading that correctly, but
it's a little much. I'm
good. 7,
good.
8, 9
I love Abdul Carter,
picks.
Josh. He's going to be great. If we were in the top 15, Howie would go get Abdul Carter with every ounce of all the power in his bones to do so. But at 32, Abdul Carter is virtually impossible, and he's going to be a top 5 pick when this is all said and done because the quarterbacks are not as good as people think that they are. I don't think Travis Hunter is as good as people think that he is. So let the Abdul Carter stuff die. He obviously is like Micah Parsons and wants to be an Eagle, but tough luck, Abdul. We won a Super Bowl, so we have no chance to go ahead and get you.
Unfortunately, yeah. Although Anthony and I were talking about if he completely sandbag it, it still wouldn't help him. But, if he go out there and run like a really slow 40 times, someone was mentioning like if he runs a 5.7, but that's too much because people be like, he's obviously, but you go out and run like a 4.8, like a 4.85, and then people are like, is he really that slow? Like, is this dude maybe not?
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to get him
It's
to
not
32.
happening. It's not happening. Be a top 5 pick, get that extra money, go play for Jacksonville, whatever it's got to be. Just get in the league. We'll see you down the road.
Yeah. But hey, creative thought, brainstorming session. I don't mind it, but that's ludicrous completely. I mean, sorry,
Sure.
nine draft picks and Tanner McKee and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, it's a little much.
For 2 guys. I mean, we're already talking about
much.
salary cap ramifications, but you like sell off everything on the defense would be good, but you don't know what you have with Jalen Hurts, and who's to say out of all those other 9 draft picks you can't get a lot of help in that way. CJ with a 5. Also, what are y'all's thoughts on the Dak comments, if y'all haven't said anything about it yet, on how the Cowboys are close to the Eagles level? We talked about it a little bit earlier.
We did cover that, yeah. It's
and I might be late getting to the Super
Pretty
Chats
funny.
too here, but yes, the fact that they
Pretty
think that
funny.
they're close, the delusion of geriatric Jones, and the franchise that thinks that they're America's team, but actually nowhere close.
Yeah.
They can think that. Keep believing. Tony with a 5 said, instead of going for Miles, how about trade for Trey Hendrickson? Trey had more sacks back-to-back seasons and would cost less draft picks.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. And the Bengals have cap problems. T. Higgins, they're not going to be able to afford. I wouldn't hate that. Sure.
I don't mind the thought. I would say, I mean, kind of back to what you were saying a second ago, Thomas, like, I just think that you have some dogs. I mean, no pun intended. You have the Philly dogs. But, like, I just think that you have some guys that why waste the capital? I mean.
Sure, but, like, if a 5th-round draft pick for Trey Hendrickson is fine, right? A second is something a little different, but a 5th is totally fine. I do a 5th for Trey Hendrickson. Because you're losing Josh Sweat, right? And they want to rotate people no matter what. And so
yeah, but
I don't think it's that big of a deal for Hendrickson versus, like, a Garrett who's got to play every single snap.
Okay, compensation-wise, it's not a big deal. But I'm talking about playing time.
Sure.
And it's like we basically already saw Nolan Smith and Jalen Hurts are the guys. So if Vic Fangio believes that, you're not even going to waste, and I say waste because that's not a bad deal, but you're not going to waste a 5th-round draft pick even, because you got to say, no, we're going to get a guy who is just kind of like a contributor, but we don't view him as a starter. Because if you get Trey Hendrickson, you're absolutely right. He is all right, let's try to solidify whoever's going to take Josh Sweat's spot. I think that you have more than enough tape out there to say you have your 2 starters.
Yeah, I think that they want a 3rd, though. Because BG was that 3rd, and BG played plenty of snaps. I think there's enough snaps to go around to have a 3-man rotation at edge. 4 is where it gets a little tricky. But they got to have somebody in case an injury were to happen, like what happened with BG. And then Hunt was able to slowly fill in that role. So it would depend on the price, obviously. But are they going to trade Trey Hendrickson? Probably not. So,
fair.
Ifs and buts.
It's fun to talk about in the offseason.
Sure.
So we do appreciate the thought again. Josh with a 5, drives me nuts when the media criticizes Hurts because of the talent around him. Every quarterback in the NFL would love to have that level of talent.
No, all quarterbacks want bad receivers and a bad O-line and a terrible running back. That way they can just, win 9 games a year and do it all themselves. So, yeah.
It's too terrible, yeah. It's not his fault that he has the talent around him, but he's maximized it because he's made it to 2 Super Bowls. He's won one of them. Yeah. And he's not making mistakes in big games as opposed to some quarterbacks who do. So, yeah, it's a lose-lose for Jalen. It at least has been for the media. But again, as he said, as we've said, he doesn't care. It just fuels the fire. So he won. Other guys did not. Haven't even made it. Kevin with a 5. Appreciate that. Says, I feel Sweat and Williams will try to stay. We're gonna have to agree to disagree on that, Kevin.
I would disagree on that one. Yeah,
but
I would disagree on that one.
Anthony brought this up, and I echo exactly what he said yesterday. Josh Sweat does not switch to a new agent in Drew Rosenhaus right before the Super Bowl if he's taking a team-friendly discount, because that can
100%.
very easily be worked out without it. He
100%.
switched to Drew Rosenhaus because he said, I'm getting a bag, as he should.
100%.
And so Milton Williams, he's ready to get paid. There's just not really a world because of also you look at Morojomo playing as well as he had that, I mean, Zach Berman dropped the news, I guess right before we were hopping on here, saying that the Eagles are going to have big decisions to make. And speaking with Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, they're not going to be very big players considerably on the unrestricted free agent market, which means you're going to lose some guys. And they're also anticipating compensatory picks for 2026. Those big ones would be Milton Williams and Josh Sweat, which it's hypothetical. We'll see where it goes. It's sounding like that would be potentially a third-round comp and a fourth-round comp for 2026. So I think that's where they're planning on it.
I think so, too.
So we'll see. We appreciate the thought. Again, like, we would love to keep all of them, but I just think there's not a world where they stay. Dante with the 20 bomb. Let's go. Says, how come no one is talking about Steve Spagnuolo's share of the blame for the loss?
Sure. Sure. I'm sure Chiefs fans are, but yeah, that was the worst coaching performance I've ever seen. I honestly think that Andy Reid was completely outcoached. They had no adjustments. 2 runs in the first half, 0 screens to stop the pressure. They didn't chip at all. And they left Kelce on islands blocking edge rushers when he's like 50 years old. I think the offense was a coaching malpractice. The defense did a great job against Saquon. They dared Jalen to beat you, and he did. It's like, okay, well, pick your poison. Welcome to playing the Philadelphia Eagles. Defensively or offensively, though, for the Chiefs was the real shocker. It was like, you can't do anything? Like, the Eagles have given up points in the postseason. They haven't blanked anybody yet, so somebody's able to score on them. That was the shocking point for me.
Yeah, and the big part, too, was, and we saw it the entire game, not blitzing. They technically blitzed, depending on how you view it. They blitzed Baun twice, but they also brought back Nolan Smith on one play, and then I think maybe Jalix, I can't remember the other one, but they dropped him back. So it was still only 4 rushers or 4 guys getting after the quarterback. So 4 guys, no blitzes the entire game, and able to get 6 sacks, ridiculous amount of pressures, like 40%. That's what caused it, but it's also the fact that Vic Fangio changed the scheme, or at least was trying to game plan for the Chiefs, going they are going to be quick game. And how many times it was Mahomes drops back in that first read where he would normally go quick with the ball was, nope, we're in press coverage. We're coming up now. So instead of being able to get the ball out quickly, he had to go to his second or his third. And like we were talking about, they don't have really guys that can go out and beat anybody. And so Mahomes got to hold on to the ball, got a ton of sacks, and it worked out that way. But, Spagnuolo's, he's had 2 performances now where Jalen's had his number in the Super Bowl. It was a not a good performance from Jalen back in Kansas City, but, that was different offense and all the other stuff with the team going on. So Super Bowl-wise, Jalen's shown up, and Spags has not really had the answer, but it's a good point, something to talk about. Evan with a 5. Go Birds. Who do y'all think we are going to draft? So another draft question.
We don't know.
We
don't know yet.
Not gotten into draft coverage much. Anthony DeBona has. So going back to the shout out for Anthony, he would have a much better answer for scouting and taking a look at players and stuff like that. The other thing that Thomas, you mentioned a second ago that goes on with that, though, is like we're picking 32, and it's a great feeling on one because that means you won the Super Bowl, but it's also one of those where you just kind of wait to see what happens. Now, yes, Howie is active in the draft, so maybe he trades up if there's a player available, but it's still not. He's not going to be at 32 and say, "Oh, we're trading up to 3." Right? There's not going to be that happening. So you let like the first half of the draft at least play out, and then you figure out what's going on. But in terms of specifics on who we're going to draft, Evan, it's a good question. The season literally just ended, so there's not been
a lot
any
of
sort
good
of 32nd
overall draft picks in NFL history, or at least the past couple of years. Xavier Legette, Joey Porter, Lewis Cine, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, N'Keal Harry, Lamar Jackson, Ryan Ramczyk, Malcolm Brown, Matt Elam, Patrick Robinson. There have been some good ones. There have been some pretty good ones. All right,
so there's opportunity. There you go. Let's see here. We got Romeo with a 20 bomb. Appreciate that.
Hey.
So we're getting close to wrapping here, so appreciate all you guys. Says, I told y'all it would be a blowout. Yes, you did, and called it 42-17.
You were one of the few that got to 40. Yeah.
I mean, that's incredibly close there with those point differentials. And what about playing our second stringers in the Super Bowl? Talk about the ultimate flex.
Pretty rare. Hasn't happened since the Seattle-Denver game. So, yeah, big time flex.
That was one of those that I was, as we were streaming it and talking about it, it's like, is this really happening? You just kind of, is this actually taking place? And they scored to make it closer against the second strings. That was a little bit disheartening. At the end of the day, who cares? But they went from the best defensive performance through 3 quarters and even giving up those scores, number 4 in Super Bowl history, number 4 defense of all time. It's just unbelievable what Fangio was cooking up, what the players were, really living up to. So
I know.
We appreciate it. It was the best. One last thing. Oh, I got a super chat here, so I'll make sure I hit that. Anthony was mentioning 32 is a luxury spot. Lots of trade back from 32 in recent years. Could be a way for Howie Roseman to net some extra draft capital.
Great point. Yep. And second and third rounders we've seen can be really impactful. So I'll totally agree.
Yep.
Totally agree.
All right, last super chat here. John M at the buzzer. We appreciate the 5.
Hey.
John says, Andy coached like he used to coach in big games when he was in Philly. Passive.
I didn't want to say that, but there's a reason Andy Reid was fired from Philadelphia. That's not a shot at Andy Reid.
Yeah.
But it's not like it was sunshine and rainbows Andy Reid's final season or even previous season. So it's a great point. It was just really surprising. They had no answer, and that's why we were all like, okay, it was 10-0, calm down. 17-0, it's gonna happen. 24-0, and then you're like, wait a second, no, it's not gonna happen. So
no,
it was surprising. But it happens.
It was over, yes.
Glad it happened against us.
You saw the very similar body language and expressions from Andy Reid that you've seen all the way back in the days of Philly.
I know.
Yeah, it's sad for him, but we got it. Got a dub.
He got his Super Bowls. He's fine.
Yeah, plenty. Shady with a 5 says, I already see this lame other fans foaming out the mouth for Sweat, Milt, Baun, and Becton. So I guess, just in terms of maybe other fans or teams trying to get those. They're going to target for sure if they can.
Sure.
So, just get Baun done.
Baun's the big one.
He has all the luxury in the world to just wait and say, all right, yes, I want to be in Philly, but let me see what I can get. And if you're going to match it, the other ones, I would hope Mekhi Becton. I think that if there's, out of all those 4, and even others, quite honestly, I think if there's one player who will give you a discount, it's going to be Mekhi Becton because of Jeff Stoutland, what he's meant to his career, all the O-line room and that. But still, even if we're talking about discount-wise, he's earned a pretty big payday. So we'll see. Cap-wise, be interesting.
Yeah, I want Oren Burks back for sure, and I really want Isaiah Rodgers back too, because I think you need a third corner. Yeah. We saw this year, right? Ringo can be the guy, sure, but you want a third corner. Rodgers is probably going to want to start, which is fair, but yeah, Oren Burks has got to come back. He was really good.
Yep, he was more credit to him, better than I think what we anticipated. So.
Oh yeah.
John with another 5 here. John, we appreciate the support. He says, just wanted to keep you on the stream longer.
No, I gotta go.
So
John.
we're on the stream.
I gotta go.
We're about to jump off here, and Beast Guard with another 5. You guys, we appreciate this. We're gonna wrap. It is a 5 bomb. Let's see. It says the thing that pissed me off the most from all the talk leading up to the bowl was people saying that the Chiefs O-line was better than ours. Shaking my head.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was extremely weird.
It wasn't true. So, yeah. And Tooney was their best lineman, and he's supposed to be a guard, and it very much showed on a lot of those plays as he was playing left tackle. So.
The thought that the Chiefs' defensive line was going to eat and somehow Philly was going to have the same sort of 0 sacks performance. As soon as it was, hey, we're going to play in New Orleans. It'll be turf. There's not going to be a field issue. That was the instant. It's like, okay, well, look out, because our defensive line is going to feast. And we continue to say that. There were some Chiefs fans or other individuals that I think we've mentioned before, but they weren't feeling as concerned. We were trying to warn everybody, and look what happened.
We tried.
6 sacks.
We tried.
So that was it. All right. I think we ran through the super chats. We do appreciate
There
you
you go.
guys as always.
We do appreciate it, guys.
It is the best. We got some great giveaways coming up. Obviously the Nolan Smith one, so make sure to sub to both channels. I say Nolan Smith one, of course. I mean the Philly Dogs, but I'm biased here, so I'm going to just say Nolan Smith.
Jalen Carter's going to be there too.
Jalen Carter's going to be there as well. But make sure to do that. If you want to watch it back, there's 2 more super chats, guys. We appreciate that. We do need to wrap here. 5 from John says, "Get out of here, fellas." We will. Joey with a 5. Abdul Carter wants to be a Philly player so bad.
He does.
Can Howie pull it off?
No.
Joey, I don't believe so. It would be incredible, but no. We did talk about it earlier, so if you want to, you can rewind and catch everything else. But we're jumping out of here. Appreciate it. Thomas, this is a blast. We'll catch you here soon again. All the other content stuff coming.
Every week.
As always, guys, Super Bowl champs. Go Birds.
Super Bowl champs, baby. Go Birds.